Baseball has given me a life that I never imagined, and being around here in Tampa and being recognized by, people quite often, whether I'm here or up in Indiana or wherever. You play on TV, and it's something you sit here and dream of, and get to play the game that you love every day. It's so surreal.
Yeah, I've had a dream and a vision of wanting to be a Major League Baseball player for forever, since as long as I can remember of when I had thoughts, and so, and you're always like working towards that goal. You're always trying to get there. You're always trying to get there. There's a lot of stops along the way where you don't know if it's going to happen. There's a lot of stops along the way where you're like, man, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. I don't know if I want to do this. Do I want to go be a normal kid? Do I want to, all these other things.
When I first got to the major leagues, Mark McGwire was the hitting coach for the Cardinals. So when I walked in and saw him, I was like, man, when I was 12, I wanted to be Mark McGwire and hit home runs, play first base. So, you see guys like that, and then you get to meet Albert Pujols and stuff like that. And then they're your teammates. And the next thing you know, you're in a World Series. So you're like, man, this is cool. My 12-year-old self knew that I was going to be here. So they kind of go. And then, the next year was my first full year. And then I was in an all-star game, and it was Chipper Jones's retirement year. So he was giving an all-star speech in the locker room before the game. So there's it's like every year there's something new, to be honest with you. It never gets old. So that's the beauty of playing a kid's game. You still have those moments. And, hopefully I play long enough to where a kid can do what I did when I was my first year. I looked at, Chris Carpenter and told him, I remember watching you when I was younger. And he's like, yeah, well, maybe one day you'll play as long as I have. And I think he was in his 14th year in the major leagues at that time. So hopefully I play long enough to have, a kid make me feel old. But, that's always the hope.
If you're a big leaguer, at any given point, you're one of the best 750 players in the world. And if you even break that down, let's say half of that is position players. So now you're one of 375 in the world at the highest level. And I think that's something that people can, and I know I do, I lose sight of, is like, man, it's really special just to even be a big leaguer just for one day. I don't think people really understand how big of an accomplishment that is. Like, you're one of 375 people in the world.
The thing that clicked for me was when I got to my junior college, I had a Tampa Bay scout that told me he liked me, he thought I could play. And from that December night, 2008, when I first saw him, when pro ball was never even a thought in my mind, that's when my life changed forever, because I was like, I'm going to outwork everyone, and I will do whatever it takes to be great at this game.
You're always working at your craft day in and day out. You're always trying to make sure what you're good at, you keep good and try to make it great. And the things that you struggle with, you make sure you don't take away from the things you're good at to make those better. And you just slowly build those up to where it's all makes you, the best player you possibly can be.
Do something to make yourself better every day. Work harder, whatever that is, whether you're going to weight training, whether you're staying in the cage a little longer, you're doing some more ground balls. There's always work to be done. And I think a lot of kids don't realize that. They kind of just go to practice and then they, go home and they'll do whatever. But like, stay later, get there earlier, stay later, do a little extra, don't worry about what other people think of you or whatever, because when you start putting in those days and those extra, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, those add up over a really long time. And the people who aren't working, you become increasingly better than, I'm not saying like you need to try to be better than one person, but like as a player, you want to be the best version that you can be. You're not trying to outdo anybody. You're trying to beat who you were yesterday. And I think that working harder and putting that extra time in each day will allow you to become a really good, athlete down the road.
High school to college was a big jump because the grittiness of college, like that was something different. The grind, the 100% commitment just to one sport. Because like we said, I was a 3-sport athlete. So now I don't even have to think about the other sports at all. It's just solely baseball. That was something to get used to as well. Just, hey, I'm sticking to this sport. I'm sticking to pitching, and that's only it. I'm not doing anything else anymore. So that transition was kind of big for me. And I think I matured late, so it kind of helped. But then then going from the grittiness of college, what I thought was gritty, the 6 a.m. lifts and just the long hours going to lift, going to class, then going to practice and coming back and doing study hall and then doing more work because I have more schooling and then going back to sleep and doing it all over again. It went from that grittiness to then in the minor leagues, you're playing every single day. You still got to get your workouts in. In the minor leagues, you do like team fundamentals in the morning and bunt defenses and, some of that stuff to prepare yourself and make sure and just so then it kind of is also, you haven't done them in 5 months and then all of a sudden you get a bunt and you're like, oh shoot, where do I go again? Kind of deal. So then it's all that and the travel, like in college, you travel kind of nicely and you stay, it's good. You only play on the weekend and then you come back and you might have a Wednesday game at home. But in the minor leagues, you might be gone for 12 days. And they're not fun bus rides. We had a 14-hour ride from Jacksonville, Florida, all the way out to Jackson, Tennessee. And it was, go out there, play 4 games. Then I think we went to Mississippi after, then played a couple more, played 4 more. Then we went to Pensacola, played 4 more. Then we came home, had 1 day off, and then played 4 more at home. And that is a different kind of grit and a different kind of grind. So you just kind of adapt and you learn how to adapt and how to throw and what your body needs to adapt and to basically thrive in that environment.
It is incredible the amount of talent in baseball nowadays, and there's so many different people that are out there trying to take your job and play this game better than you. And you have to take your mental state of mind and your mental strength to a different level that you never thought you were capable of as well. And for me, I think those are the 2 huge components that have allowed me to be an everyday player for 8 years. I'm not the most talented player, I will say that. Defensively might be different. I'm very confident and I know what I can do out there, but man, there's just so many good players out there nowadays, and it's not easy. This game's hard. Everyone throws 100 at my level, and throwing a 93 mile per hour slider there, cutters, everything. The game is talented and as deep as it's ever been, if you ask me, just because it's just incredible how good kids are from your age all the way till guys still in the big leagues at 37, 38 who are, still doing it as well.
There's always somebody out there that wants to outwork you or who is working harder. And I think for me in high school that I wish I would have done the weight training. I wish I would have, had somebody there to kind of push me and to make me do the things that I didn't necessarily want to do. Because when I got to college, I thought I was going to be, I'd go right in there as a freshman and play. And obviously that didn't happen. It kind of got a punch in the mouth with redshirting.
It's a slow process. And if you want instant feel goods in this game, you're not going to get it. It's definitely the same thing. You got to build and build and build. I'm 34 years old and I'm building and building, trying to add new pitches, new things, maybe a new routine, new workout, a new way to take care of myself. So it's always a process.
Do something to make yourself better every day. Work harder, whatever that is, whether you're going to weight training, whether you're staying in the cage a little longer, you're doing some more ground balls. There's always work to be done. And I think a lot of kids don't realize that. They kind of just go to practice and then they, go home and they'll do whatever. But like, stay later, get there earlier, stay later, do a little extra, don't worry about what other people think of you or whatever, because when you start putting in those days and those extra, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, those add up over a really long time. And the people who aren't working, you become increasingly better than, I'm not saying like you need to try to be better than one person, but like as a player, you want to be the best version that you can be. You're not trying to outdo anybody. You're trying to beat who you were yesterday. And I think that working harder and putting that extra time in each day will allow you to become a really good, athlete down the road.
It wasn't all just me. I think that's the biggest thing that I can kind of portray is it wasn't just me who got to the big leagues that day. It was everybody who's helped me along the way. And I think that that's kind of the special part about like the journey of sports, right? Is like, you don't get there on your own.
You never want to be that guy to peak too early. You have to get better year after year as your body develops and everything changes. So not trying to get too off track here, but you have to do a lot of things right to be able to make it this level, stick at this level. And for me, I wanted to be an everyday player. And that's what, I've done. And I still feel like I have plenty left in the tank, and I'm going to work my butt off to try to do that. So it's been a heck of a ride, but man, I hope everyone listening on this call is, willing to sacrifice whatever it takes to make it and then some, because once again, that is what it takes.